All right, welcome back again. So today what I want to look at is a kind of a better way of doing something we've been doing all the way along here. You may notice, and here I put a bunch of random text there. So I'm going to turn one of these into a paragraph. And what I would like to do is make this some white writing. So I'm going to say style equals color white, as we did on our red background. And then I'm going to do another paragraph here. Now, in general, if you were to be working with this and you were to do a whole bunch of paragraphs, um, you would have to type this out every single time you would see a paragraph, and every one you would be making a color white. Now, we can hack this a little bit by doing the whole body, but let's pretend we're working this way for now. This is very repetitive. And you can see every single time I make a style, I'm going to have to do a white background or white color. And maybe if I had a background on there, I'd have to do that. And if I decided to make a change, I would have to go through and retype every single one of them. So as we may have mentioned before, in computing, whenever you find yourself doing the same thing over and over again or repeating yourself, there's probably a better way of doing it. Computers were designed to try and make our lives easier and more efficient. So we want to make sure that we have the ability to do that. So as far as HTML has come along, we do have a better way because I'm repeating myself. Paragraph is white writing, paragraph is white writing, paragraph is white writing. There's got to be a nicer way, and they've introduced it in a couple ways. This is what we call an inline style, which means that this style applies to this, is right in line, it applies to this particular paragraph, and it's written as we write each line of code. However, we have a better way, especially if we're doing something like this. And the better way is as follows. We introduce a new section to our web page. This is called the head section. So I'm going to slash end the head here. And you can see that that kind of mirrors the idea of the body. The body is everything that appears on the web page. Head is a section we use for things that don't necessarily appear directly on the page, but do have an influence with the page. And what I would like to do in the head section is I want to change some of the styles for the entire page. So I'm going to introduce another tag here, the style tag. Now, sandwiched in that style tag, I can define or set up styles for the entire page. And to do this, I simply put the name of the tag that I want to change, open curly braces, which is shift and right beside the P there. This little thing is basically like starting in a lot of languages, much like in HTML, we just use the start tag, but this is starting something. And then I can say what style I want. And in this case, I want to change the color to be white. And then I close the curly brace. And what this does is right at the beginning here says, ooh, when I see paragraphs, I'm going to make them white. So I can now get rid of all of this writing here, all of these tags, each one of them. And in fact, let's get rid of that and save myself, copy and paste, 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 paste. And you can see now all paragraphs, whenever I see a paragraph, the computer, the browser, is going to make it have white writing. And if I save this and then go and have a look, you can see here, these are just plain paragraphs, but they all have white writing. And oh, we run into some problems here though, because notice I've got this particular paragraph has a white background, and however, it also has white writing, which means we can't really read it very easily. Luckily, this is not to say that inline styles are a bad thing, but that they shouldn't be used for the majority of our page. They should be used in the one-off circumstances when we need to change something. So essentially what you're doing here is you're making a rule saying all paragraphs have white writing. except down here where we have a background color white, I can add a style in here and say color is black for the writing. And an inline style takes priority over what we call this internal style sheet. So this applies to everything except this supersedes that rule. And you can see now we've got this black writing. So you can have the majority of something, one thing as far as the rule, and now you can make an exception to the rule with an inline style. And we can do all sorts of great things here. So perhaps I would like to add a few styles to paragraphs. Well, I can simply put this here. If I'm going to have multiple styles, I should put a semicolon at the end there to kind of separate each one. And maybe I also want to have a background color. In this case, it's going to be blue. That means immediately all paragraphs have a blue background, except that one there, which I had overwritten with an inline style. Oh, and notice we even get this because I also put the background style, because I centered that picture there in a previous one using a paragraph. So again, maybe if I wanted to fix that one, I could go in on a one-off, make an exception to the rule and say, well, in this case, the background color should be white because I don't want that to appear like a paragraph. Oh, or red, sorry, my mistake. Should match the other background there. There we go. So, and this can be applied for everything on this page. We could make a particular style for images. We could make a font that we can use for everything. We could make our headings all look the same. And therefore, you don't have to type anything. You don't have to style everything every time. You only have to style it once, and then just write the heading tag. It'll automatically grab that style. And this is great if we are going to work on one page. However, I want you to consider going forward here, what are we going to do if we have multiple pages? I'm building a website, so I have 100 pages on my website, and I want to create a similar look and feel to each page for that. Well, they introduced another level of awesomeness as far as CSS, and this is where this cascading style sheets comes in. What I can do is actually, this is, as I said, an internal style sheet. So we have an inline, we have an internal, which means it applies to the entire page. And we also have what's called a external. So I'm going to make a new document here. And I'm going to go grab just that part. And I'm going to get rid of it. Paste it over here. And what I want to do is I want to save this new document as something like styles, period, or I'll call it style, CSS, or a cascading style sheet. And what I've done here is created a whole separate document. And this document's only job is to style my pages. It's a sheet basically like a reference paper saying, what should paragraphs look like? Now, if I get rid of this, you can see that I've now lost that styling. And just because the style sheet is in the same page doesn't mean it uses it. So what we have to do is actually link this sheet to this document. So at the very top, again, in that head section, I can introduce a new tag called a link tag. And I say link rel equals, and this is the relation, it's a style sheet. And then I put the hyperlink reference, or an href. Basically, it's saying it's like the source essentially, is where we go to grab this sheet, and I think I called that style period CSS. It's all in the same folder, so it knows It's going to look around there and see, do I see this document there? Just like with the pictures, with the trooperdirtbike.jpg. So now at the beginning, I've got basically saying, instead of having that internal style sheet, I've said, ooh, here, go grab that style sheet or this document, bring it in, and this is going to be the style sheet for this entire document. And if I save that and I run it, launch in Chrome, you can see all of my sheets are back. Now, the spectacular part about this is, I'm just going to copy that line. I'm going to make a new document. Let's say I am going to make a brand new web page. We haven't done that for a bit, so I'm going to say HTML/HTML. I'm going to put a head section in there, /head, and we'll do a body section here, /body, and I will put a paragraph in. This is my second page, /p. There we go. And if I just, a very quick little page there, just like our first one, I'm going to save this and I'm going to call it page2.html. And if I save that, I've now just created, like we did on our first one, a really boring web page with just a line of code at the top here. However, with one little addition to the head section, I say I want this page to use that same style sheet right there. And if I save that and I go and refresh, you can see immediately that page is all sorted. It's got the same things. And on our style sheet, we can add lots of things. For instance, we can redefine everything we want, like the body. And I would like the background color of all of my pages to be red. I'm going to spell that correctly. So background color is now red, and that means every page that that has that style sheet is going to have a red background color. So I can also take that off of my index page. Let's see here. No longer do I need a style here because it's applying from the style sheet. And I can have a look at that one. That one looks just fine. It looked exactly the same. But now perhaps I want to change, and maybe, you know, it's pink day, and I want to be pink. So I can say, well, you know what? All of my background pages are going to, all of my pages in my website are going to have a pink one. And any page that is connected to this style sheet is now going to be updated. Oh, forget that. There's that paragraph has a pink color there. I would want to make sure I change that, or perhaps use a better way of centering it other than putting it in a paragraph. But there we go in this one, and now boom, pink there. And so you could have 1, 2, 100, 1,000, 1,000,000 pages of your website, and by going to one single document, or what we call an external style sheet, you can quickly change and update the entire website just by putting a few things here. And just all you have to do is redefine or add in all of the heading things that you would like, or the paragraphs, or the bodies, or any tag that you want to set the default appearance to. We can do that here. And as we learn more styles and more tags, you'll be able to add more and more things to your external style sheet. There you go.